Okay, so you're given this equation, y equals 5x plus 20, and the first thing you have to do is graph it. Are we in slope-intercept form?
Yes.
Yes. So if we're given slope-intercept form, what's the first step?
Y equals 5x plus 20.
That's the given equation, yes. What is the first step? Open your notes if you've already forgotten.
You find your b.
I find my b. What is the b, Josie?
Yeah.
20. Okay, what's the coordinate point then? 0, 20.
Oh, what are you asking?
Anybody, it's okay. So then I plot that point, so I go to 0 up to 20. What is the y-axis going by? 5. What is the x-axis going by? 1. It's always important to notice that to start with.
It's 5.
Okay, so that was step 1. Step 2, raise your hand. What do you do for step 2? Raise your hand. What is step 2? Emma, what's your step 2?
Graph it. Or fast that.
No, we haven't graphed it yet. We graphed the y-intercept. So what do we do after the y-intercept? I find my slope. So what is your slope? 5. Okay, so what does that mean? If it's just 5, what does that mean? Raise your hand. It's just 5. What do you do, Aubrey? 5 over run, 1. So 5, you rise, you go up 5, and then right or left? What would be positive, right or left? Right. 1. So from that point, I rise 5, but since the y-axis goes up by 5, how many squares do I go up? 1. And then my x, I still go over 1, because my x's go by 1. So then I could do that again, rise 5, run 1, and then I connect my dot. I make you graph 3 points before you can graph or extend your line. Okay? So that is graphing it, correct? All done. So now that we've graphed it, number 5 says interpret the slope and the y-intercept. So we have to figure out what does your slope mean and what does the y-intercept mean. Looking at the problem up here might help too. What is my y-intercept, Sahara? 20. So up in the story problem, what does it say about 20? 20 is the what? Okay, so if 20 is the cost for the design, that means if I buy 0 t-shirts, because that's what X is, I still have to pay an initial fee of $20 for the design. Okay? So that's what that means. It's a one-time charge. And then the 5 is your slope, correct? So what does that mean? $5 per what? To print each shirt, yes. So then right here it says $5 to print each t-shirt. So your slope, if I buy 1 t-shirt, I would take 1 times 5 and then add 20. If it was 2 t-shirts, I take 2 times 5 and add 20. So that's why your slope is $5 per shirt. Then your design is just the initial fee. Questions on that? Okay.
What is this?
It's my phone. Go over to the next page and try got it. F and G. Carter, what does step 1 say? Plot the y-intercept. Gracie, what is my y-intercept? 3.50. Okay, some of you were like, yeah, but that's not exactly. So what is 3.50? 3.5. So where do I go on the y-axis? In between 3 and 4. Put a dot. Okay, that's your starting point. Step 2 says to do what? Word for word. Emma? Use my slope as my direction. What is my slope? Jordan? What is the slope? Okay, well, if this is your b, what other number do you have? X is a number. What's with x? 0.50. So what's your slope? 0.50. Okay, so we know our slope is 50 hundredths. Okay, you could do this two ways. I could use that. I could put 0.50 over 1. Or, what is 0.50 the same as? 1/2, right? So I could write 0.50 as 1 over 2. Okay? If I start with the first one, if I go up 0.5, that would land me at 4, right? And then I run 1, so I put a point here. Up 1/2 over 1, it'd be in between. So I'd be at 4.5 and 2. Then I rise 0.5, run 1. So I'd have an exact dot at 1, 4 and 3, 5. If I did it this way, I'll use red for that one. If I rose 1 from 3.5, I would be at, what's 1 more than 3.5? 4.5. So I'd rise to 4.5, and then I'd run 2. So 1, 2, put a point. Rise 1. So if I'm at 4.5, what do I rise to? 5.5, and then I run 2 and put a point. Okay, so you could have done it either way. Your lines will match up perfectly. So if you wanted to change your decimal to a fraction, or if you just wanted to rise 0.5 and run 1, you will get a line that looks like that. Okay? Then it says to interpret the slope and the y-intercept. How do you interpret the y-intercept of 3.5? Max, what do you think? What does the 3.5 represent? It is the y-intercept, but in words, what does it mean in this context of the problem? What? Right, but what does 3.5 mean? Carter? To start with. So that's like your initial.
And it's 50 cents a mile, right?
50, yes. So we have our y-intercept of 350, and it means that's the initial cost. Okay, so no matter how far you go, whether you order a taxi and you go a block, you have to pay $3.50. Okay, if I order a taxi and I go 3 blocks, I still have the initial fee of $3.50. Okay, it's kind of like your minimum that you can pay. Then it says, what's the slope? My slope is 0.50, so what does that mean? 50 cents, where x is the number of miles, so it's going to be 50 cents per mile. So if I go a block, I'm only going to have to pay $3.50. If I go 5 miles, it's going to cost me more. Does that make sense? Okay, questions? You guys need to use those notes. Those notes are very helpful if you follow along with them. And we highlighted and color-coded those notes so that you can apply that to every problem. Okay? Your homework assignment is on page 2 of 3, number 1 through 11. I want you to look at that assignment with me. So on number 1, you have to identify the slope and the y-intercept. How many answers should you have for both? 2. Okay, you have to tell me what n equals, and you have to tell me what b equals. Same thing with number 2 and number 3. Looking at number 3, this looks different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is it in slope-intercept form? No, so can I just say the slope is 3 and the y-intercept is -4?
Yes.
No. If it is not in slope-intercept form, you can't just apply what we've been doing. You have to get it to slope-intercept form. In slope-intercept form, what is always by itself? Y. How do I get y by itself? What's with y? Nope. 3x. How do I get rid of the 3x? Okay, so if I subtract 3x, I would make a 0 pair. So y equals, can I combine these two?
No.
No, they're not like terms. So then I could just write negative 3x minus 4. Then you should be able to identify the slope and the y-intercept. On number 4 and 5, you're writing an equation. Y equals something, x plus something. Same thing with number 5, y equals something, x plus something. Same thing with number 6 and number 7, you have to write an equation, y equals something, x plus something. Y equals something, x plus something. On number 8, you're doing what we did today. And number 9, 10, and 11, you are doing what we did today as well. I'm handing out a graph piece of paper for 9, 10, and 11. On number 9, 10, and 11, you have to make your own graph, your own grid, and you have to make 3 separate ones. I do not want 9, 10, and 11 all on one graph. I want 3 separate graphs. Questions? All right, so you have the rest of the class to work on it.